Miss Stella Lamon, who she is legit weaver, at least 5 generations, right? I counted back 5, maybe 4 officially. But she has been doing this in her family all the way back to the late 1800s, for sure. Weaving has actually been around, they think, probably close to 6,000 years in all different cultures. So this is Miss Stella Lamon, like I mentioned. She is her mother, Cora Alice Owenby Morton.
My grandmother.
Sorry, oh, that was your grandmother. Yeah, yeah. Sold her handmade items such as placemats and coasters and blankets at the Aerocraft shop in Gatlinburg. And that was an early way for local craftspeople to kind of supplement their income. This is a really rural area in Gatlinburg, and it really helped them to. These were just items they used every day, but the Aerocraft shop showed them that they could also supplement their incomes that way. So they had broom makers and basket weavers and wood turners, and they found that there was a huge love of those items to be sold and to help these families support their families. And so anyway, this is going to be kind of just a demonstration. Ms. Lamon is very happy to answer questions. She's just going to kind of talk about what she does, and she can show you what she does on her loom. You can ask her anything you want. You can get up and come look. It's very casual and laid back. So if you got any questions, you want to just go ahead and start and say hi? Or?
Okie dokie. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you asked me to come, and this is my husband, Pete Lamon. He's my driver. But as she said, I was born and raised in Gatlinburg. My mother was Jane Morton. She married my dad, June Nolan. Her mother was Cora Alice Owenby and married Verlis Morton. My great-grandmother was Sarah Ellen Moore and married James Cager, Jim, they call him Cager Jim Owenby. And her, Mama Owenby's mother was Miriam McCarter and married Moses McCarter. Said enough. And then on my husband's side, his mother was Margie Reagan. Her dad was Dave Reagan. He made furniture in Gatlinburg, so he grew up with woodworking and weaving. His mother wove too. It's not, I mean, there's nothing special about us weaving. About everybody in the mountains knew how to weave, but not everybody had a floor loom. Some of the ladies years and years ago wove on frames. You had these big frames you could, kind of like the Indians do. They made blankets, rugs, and then if they was lucky enough to have a floor loom, they could weave shawls and scarves, placemats. This is called a wig rose. My mother wove this, I'd say 50 years ago. It's been washed a lot and it's dried up. It's cotton. And she also wove this. It's called a Tennessee Blazing Star. It's what they call a coverlet, like a blanket. And it's wool on cotton, which that's mostly what the women used to use, is wool and cotton, because it was pretty easy to get hold of. But my great-grandmother raised flax, which linen, and she used it sometimes. And this is a wool shawl that my mother wove a long time ago. And this is a replica electric loom of the wig rose. They didn't get it, the circles as round as these are, but it's as close as they could get it. And this is I don't know if you ever see a buyer around here or not, but this is a carving that my cousin Randy Whaley did over in the Glades. He's really good at it. And this is a carving that my husband did for his mother over 40 years ago. So he's pretty handy too. And I've got a spinning wheel. I've got looms that he made and furniture that he's made, our grandchildren, and just he's pretty handy to have around. And this is some baskets that his sister made, and my granddaughter does some pottery. And these pictures here, the postcard that I give you, did anybody get a postcard? I think we got a few left if you didn't. This is my mother and my grandmother in 1945, 46 era in Gatlinburg, 47, at the first Craftsman's Fair they had up there years ago. And they was getting a loom set up, putting the thread on it to weave. This was when my mother was in high school, and she wove this when she was in high school. My mother was the smartest lady I have ever known. She was a good woman. She got through high school in 2 years and started teaching school. And then after she got married and had some of us kids, she started working for the National Park Service when it was kind of evolved. And after she had 5 kids, she figured she better stay home and weave. So that's what she done from then on. And I'm very blessed. You know, people ask me, what did your parents leave you when they passed away? They didn't have a lot to leave me, earthly wise, but they did have memories. The memories that they left me is something that money can't buy. And I'm so proud of them. And I can't say anything without my mom, without saying something about his mom. She was one of the best people I ever knew in my life. And like I said, she did weaving, and she did the flowers and the floors. She made those out of corn shucks, and the stool. His grandpa would make chairs, and they would, this is a type of weaving too. It's kind of like basket weaving. This is chair bottom. And they would make bottoms for the chairs with corn shucks or white oak splits, whichever anybody wanted. So that's what the stuff's sitting on the table's for. And this little piece right here, it's just threads, but it's what weaving is. You're going over, under threads. You know, it's not like crocheting. It's you just you know, twist them together, kind of, you might say. But to start the loom, or to start getting ready to weave, this is a warp. This is how you start it out. You have to know what you're going to make. Like this has got 1,600 threads in it. And to get the loom, it was on a bigger loom. To get the loom set up, it takes several days to thread this up because it's hard on your eyes and your back, threading it up. These are the harness, and these are called the heddles. And you have to put 1 thread through each one of the heddle eyes. And depending on what pattern you're weaving, like this is called a honeysuckle pattern. You put 1 in the first one, in the 4th one, in the first one, in the 3rd one, first one and the 4th one. You follow a pattern. It's called a graft. And you have to, it takes 26 threads to make the little circle that's in this pattern. So you have to figure out, and that's what I have a hard time doing. I wasn't good in math. So you have to figure out how wide you want it and what pattern you're going to make to get it the way you want it. But you thread it up here, and then you thread it through this. It's called a reed, but we always call it a sleigh. And then you tie it to this part right here. It's called the front apron. And this is where all the thread is. Back here's the back beam. And the sticks are rolled on with it to keep it from getting tangled up. And that's what he does. He rolls the warp on for me. Then to get started, this is called just a flat shuttle. It's what my mother used. This is a bobbin shuttle. I don't use it, but you put the bobbin in here, and this is an old piece here. This is a shuttle that my grandmother used years ago. When you get it set up, the loom set up, the way, what pattern you want and everything, you step on the pedal that you start with, and you follow a pattern with the pedals too. There's 6 of the pedals, or treadles, I call them pedals. With this one, I start with the first one, and then I go to the second one, then the 3rd one, then I go to the first one, or the 6th one over here, 5.
Can we ask you why you go barefoot?
I can't weave in these shoes. It's you kind of get the feel with your, you know, I usually wear tennis shoes when I weave, but these are sandals and I can't weave with them. But it's, you can't see it from back there, but there's a little bitty design in it right here.
If you guys want to come up like a row at a time and you want to come stand and see this side of what she's doing, you're welcome to come on up. Now this isn't even like one of your big looms, right? This is technically a small.
This is just a little loom that will go through the door.